Heads up. NCIS fans, we have major news to share about Mark Harmon. For nearly 2 decades, one name has been synonymous with steady leadership, quiet strength, and an unmistakable screen presence on television. Mark Harmon. As the face of NCIS, Harmon didn't just play Leroy Jethro Gibbs. He became him in the eyes of millions of fans around the world. So whenever there's even a whisper of news about him, the fandom leans in. And now, there's something worth talking about. After stepping back from his regular on-screen role in NCIS, many viewers were left wondering, is this truly the end of Gibbs? Or just a new chapter, for both the character and the actor behind him? The answer isn't as simple as a yes or no, but that's exactly what makes this moment so exciting. When Harmon exited the spotlight in the series, it wasn't done with dramatic finality. Instead, it was handled with subtlety and intention. Gibbs wasn't killed off, nor was his story wrapped up in a neat, closed ending. He simply chose a different path, one that allowed him peace after years of service and personal turmoil. For longtime fans, this felt less like a goodbye and more like a pause. And that distinction matters. Behind the scenes, Harmon didn't completely walk away from the show. He remains involved as an executive producer, which means his influence is still woven into the DNA of NCIS. The tone, the pacing, the emotional core. Those elements that made the series a global phenomenon still carry his imprint. But what fans really want to know is this: could he come back? The possibility is very much alive. Unlike many television exits that feel permanent, Harmon's departure leaves the door wide open. There's no narrative barrier preventing Gibbs from returning, whether for a brief appearance, a special episode, or even a larger storyline. In fact, the way his character was written out almost invites future revisits. It's a creative choice that keeps fans hopeful and producers flexible. What's particularly interesting is how the show has evolved since his reduced presence. New characters have stepped forward, storylines have shifted, and the team dynamic has changed. Yet there's still a noticeable space where Gibbs once stood, a reminder of how central Harmon was to the series' identity. And that's not something easily replaced. Part of Harmon's enduring appeal lies in his understated acting style. He never needed flashy monologues or exaggerated emotion to command attention. A glance, a pause, a quiet line delivery, that was enough. It created a character who felt grounded and real, someone viewers could trust even in the most chaotic situations. That kind of presence doesn't fade easily, even after stepping away. Off-screen, Harmon has always maintained a relatively private life, especially compared to many Hollywood figures. That sense of mystery has only added to his allure. When he does make a move, whether it's a new project or a public appearance, it feels significant. So what's next for him? While there hasn't been a flood of new acting roles announced, that doesn't necessarily signal retirement. Instead, it may reflect a shift in priorities. After years of leading one of television's longest-running dramas, it's understandable that Harmon might choose to explore different creative avenues, or simply take time for himself. There's also the possibility of more behind-the-scenes work. Producing allows him to stay connected to storytelling without the demanding schedule of being the lead actor. It's a natural progression for someone with his experience and influence. Still, fans can't help but imagine what a return might look like. Would Gibbs step back into the world of investigations, even temporarily? Could there be a storyline that draws him out of his quiet life? Or perhaps a moment where the team needs his guidance one last time? These questions keep the conversation alive. And that's part of the magic of a well-crafted exit. What makes this major news less about a single announcement and more about a shift in perspective is the realization that Harmon's journey with NCIS isn't definitively over. It's evolving. And in many ways, that's more compelling than a clean break. Television history is full of characters who leave and return, sometimes years later, often when audiences least expect it. Given the enduring popularity of NCIS, it wouldn't be surprising to see the same happen here. For now, the show continues to move forward, building on its legacy while adapting to new storytelling rhythms. And Harmon remains a quiet but powerful presence behind the curtain. For fans, the takeaway is simple. Don't count him out. Whether he returns to the screen or continues shaping the series from behind the scenes, Mark Harmon's connection to NCIS is far from finished. His portrayal of Gibbs has left a lasting mark, not just on the show, but on television as a whole. And sometimes, the most exciting news isn't about what's ending, but about what might still be possible. So keep watching, keep hoping, because in the world of NCIS, surprises have a way of showing up when you least expect them. The longer fans sit with the idea of Gibbs being out there somewhere, the more compelling the possibilities become. Because unlike a definitive farewell, this lingering absence carries a quiet tension, like a story still waiting to be told. And lately, that tension has started to grow. There's been a noticeable shift in how the legacy of Gibbs is referenced within NCIS. It's no longer just nostalgia or occasional mentions. Instead, his presence is treated almost like a guiding force, an unseen anchor that still influences decisions, leadership styles, and even the emotional tone of certain episodes. For longtime viewers, it feels intentional, almost like groundwork. Television writers are known for planting seeds long before they bloom into full storylines. A name mentioned here, a memory revisited there. It all adds up. And in this case, the continued relevance of Gibbs suggests that the door isn't just open. It's being quietly held ajar. Imagine this: a high-stakes case that echoes something from Gibbs's past. The team struggles, tensions rise, and just when it feels like they've hit a wall, a familiar figure steps back into the frame. Not as a permanent return, but as a moment of clarity. A bridge between the show's past and present. It wouldn't take much. Just a scene, a conversation, a look. That's the power of a character like Gibbs. But beyond speculation, there's another layer to this story, one that speaks to the changing nature of television itself. Shows like NCIS aren't what they used to be. The traditional model of one central figure leading a series for decades is evolving. Audiences are more open to ensemble storytelling, rotating leads, and unexpected returns. In that sense, Harmon's step back may not be an ending at all, but a strategic adaptation to a new era of TV. And if that's the case, then his role, both on and off screen, becomes even more interesting. Because he's no longer just the lead actor. He's part of the architecture. There's also something to be said about timing. Returns are rarely about if, they're about when. The right story, the right moment, the right emotional payoff. Bringing back a character like Gibbs isn't something you do lightly. It has to matter. And when it does, it resonates. Fans still talk about iconic moments from earlier seasons. The quiet rules Gibbs lived by. The complex relationships he navigated. The way he carried both strength and vulnerability without ever over-explaining either. Those elements didn't just define a character. They defined an era of the show. Reintroducing that energy, even briefly, could have a powerful impact. At the same time, there's a certain beauty in restraint. Not every story needs to circle back. Sometimes, leaving a character in a place of peace is the most respectful choice. It allows their journey to stand on its own, unaltered and complete in its own way. So the real question isn't just whether Mark Harmon will return. It's whether the story needs him to. And right now, the answer feels like a careful maybe. Behind the scenes, the creative team has the unique challenge of balancing legacy with progression. They have to honor what came before while still pushing forward. It's a delicate act, one that requires both confidence and patience. Harmon's continued involvement as a producer gives them an invaluable advantage. He understands the character, the audience, and the tone of the series better than almost anyone. If and when a return happens, it's safe to assume it will be done with intention. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, just story. In the meantime, fans have found new ways to stay connected, not just through the show itself, but through rewatches, discussions, and shared memories. Gibbs may not be on screen every week, but he's far from forgotten. In fact, his absence has arguably made his presence even stronger. There's a kind of legacy that only comes from time, consistency, and authenticity. Harmon built that over years of performance, episode by episode, moment by moment. And now, that legacy lives on, not just in the character, but in the expectations viewers bring to every new chapter of NCIS. So where does that leave us? In a space that's both uncertain and full of possibility. Mark Harmon hasn't made a dramatic return announcement. There's no confirmed date, no teaser trailer, no grand reveal. But there doesn't need to be. Sometimes, the most powerful stories unfold quietly, in their own time. And if there's one thing NCIS has always done well, it's patience. For now, Gibbs is out there, fishing, reflecting, living a life that finally offers him a sense of calm. Whether that calm is permanent or temporary is something only time will tell. But one thing is certain.